Sometimes in life, you got to be obedient to God. You got to start over. You got to move the way God wants you to move. And when you move the way God wants you to move, He'll take care of everything else. So, this is it. This is it in Texas. The only time I'll be back in Texas is for my family. Texas, it's been real, it's been good. But it's time for your girl to live out her next chapter. Matter of fact, we ripped out the page. It's time for her to live out her next book. So, bye. All right. Let's do this. Hey, world. Just woke up from a wonderful nap. You know, one of those naps where, like, literally just woke up from a wonderful nap. One of those naps where church was, like, so good. You come home, you eat, and your spirit needs a nap. That's what this Sunday was. It was a high time in the Lord and just wonderful. And so I think it's time that I talk about this move and I start. So I've been doing all type of footage, putting this place together, footage on the road while I was here, all types of things before I even left, but I've never talked about the move. I did not pre-record anything. I didn't know when I was gonna say anything, and I didn't know what I was gonna say. But after a service like today at church, it was one of those services that was like, you are where you need to be. My spirit was like, we good, let's go. So all my life, everyone knew and has known that I'm not a person that wanted to live in Texas. Was in Texas because of my wonderful children, and they were young, and I wanted to make sure my kids were raised around their father, their other side of the family, my family, just having those core values of family. But I always knew that once my kids graduated, I always said, once my youngest graduated, which my Junie Boonie Batoonie graduated last year, and once he makes a full year of being out of school, I know I'm wrinkled. I've been asleep. I took a nap, like seriously. Once he made a full year that I was gonna move. December 2024, since the age of 25, I'm in my 40s. Since the age of 25 was the month of the year that I was going to move out of Texas. My family knew. Atlanta, Georgia, here I come. I could not wait to move to Atlanta, Georgia. That was the thing. I started having work in Atlanta, started doing business in Atlanta. Everything was lining up. I was preparing myself to say, you know what? When my son graduates, and it's the year after he graduates, I'm moving to Atlanta, Georgia. I started looking for places last year. I started doing all those wonderful things, preparing myself to move to Atlanta. Even before my previous marriage, which I'm going to talk about some of those things in some videos that I've never discussed or talked about. I'm going to be talking about those. So you want to stay locked into my channel because it's about to get good. So what I've learned through that divorce, that marriage, was it doesn't matter what you want to do in life. You got to go back to God. You got to go back to God, because had I went to God, I wouldn't have never gotten married. Had I went to God and gotten confirmation from God. I got confirmation from God 2, almost 3 years in, only to find that I had not been in a marriage that God aligned and ordained. And trust me, I went through in that marriage. I soon found out that Satan himself orchestrated that marriage, and I walked right into it. And I'll tell you guys some things about that, but that is not what this video is about. This video is about, where am I? What I learned in that situation was, in all things, no matter what you want to do, You got to go back to God and you got to ask God, what does he want for you? Because only God's plan for your life is going to prevail and propel to where God wants you to be. So in January of 2024, 12 months ago, I prayed and I asked God to order my steps. And I wanted to make sure that I never made the mistake of making the mistake again and stepping outside of his will, stepping outside of where he wants me to be, within my life, making sure that all of my steps, everything was ordered by him and in his word. And so I went on a fast in January, asking God to align me, show me where he wants me to be in Atlanta. Where does he want me to stay? What does he have purpose for me? What does my life look like? I didn't want to start my life out without God. I didn't even want to start planning the move without God. And so in that fast, I heard God speak to me. And God said to me, Atlanta isn't it. And me, ever since I was 25, I've been wanting to move to Atlanta, Georgia. Ever since I was young, I wanted to move. And I felt like Atlanta was a place for me when it came to networking, business, TV, relationships, helping people, just getting out and doing things. I just knew Atlanta was it. Couldn't nobody tell me nothing. Atlanta was it. I was going to be a part of the A. You feel me? But God said no. He did not tell me where, but he told me Atlanta wasn't it. But what he did say is you're going to have to be in me this year to know where you're going to go, when you're going to go, and how you're going to go. And so for a whole year, I stayed fasting and praying. A lot of you have seen the weight that I've lost. Don't let nobody tell you they've been fasting and praying. They ain't lost no weight. I have been consecrating and laying on my face and in God this whole year, seeking his face because I knew I was moving, but I did not know when. I did not know where. At the end of October, when I came home from an out-of-state visit, I went on a fast. You know, this is December. In November, God spoke to me. And he said, it's time for you to move. He began to speak to me and tell me where he wanted me to move. I was just like, God, you sure that's you? I did not. I knew it was God. But I was like, this is different. This is different from where you want me, where I thought you wanted me to be, God. So all year long, God has been blessing my life. God has been good to me financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. My life has been, this is the best year I've had in life. And really the best year I've had in this since 2017. I remember praying in the hellacious marriage and asking God to put me back in 2017. God did better than that. He put me back better. And so I have to give him glory and honor for it. But I must say, when I heard the voice tell me of where he wanted me to move, instantly the enemy came in and began to tell me that I missed the voice. And begin to remind me of the mistake I made in marrying the wrong person, the mistake I made in not going back to God. And I remember vividly the enemy saying, you remember you are a master of missing God's voice. You are going to move to that state and everything's going to fall apart, just like that marriage did. And so I had a fearful moment. And I decided to not follow God's instruction for a minute to see if I didn't follow God's instruction, then maybe I will know if it's God or not. Because I know what it's like to be punished by God when I'm making the wrong mistakes. So God told me to begin to pack. I didn't. I have been monetized on all of my social medias, and it has been a blessing in my life. And I kept hearing God say, I'm about to shake the table of your life if you don't. And I still didn't. Because the enemy's like, you're missing a voice. And I was like, I need to know, God, that this is you. I cannot be out of place again in life. I cannot go through what I went through in that last season. It took a lot to come back from. It took a lot to heal from. It took a lot to bounce back. And now that I'm back, God, I just cannot do it. And I remember not doing what God wanted me to do. And I received a message from Meta, from Instagram, telling me that they were no longer monetizing me. And I said, okay, that might be God speaking to me, telling me where I'm supposed to be. But then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go and put some other stuff in and, you know, have some things and I'll make that money back. Y'all, I'm used to making money. I made none. I may have made $100. And I was like, wait a minute, I think this is God talking to me, telling me that I'm supposed to be where he's telling me I'm supposed to be. And it was a Sunday, I remember, and I had just prayed. And then I went into worship and I began to hear God say, start packing now. Now is the time. And I started packing. I went and emptied out all of my closets in my place in Texas, went and took the guest bedroom down, emptied out all those closets. And I remember saying, okay, God, I'm listening. I need to know that this is you. I'm listening. And I sat down and took a break from packing, got my phone out. Meta's not open on a Sunday. They don't send anything. As a matter of fact, if they monetize you and if they send you money, if it's falling on a weekend, they're going to give it to you on the Friday or the Thursday before. They're real good about paying. Thank you, Meta. And I sat down and looked at my notifications on my phone. And then I looked at, received a notification on my Instagram from Meta. And it says, you are now monetized again. And God says, when you move, I move. Just like that, I said. And so I began to pack. And God said, I will tell you when it's time to go. And I had already, spoken to the landlord at that place and began to let them know that I wanted to go month to month before my new lease. So I'd already started preparing and planning. And I remember it was a Thursday and God said in prayer, it's time to move. And me, I said, well, God, if you want me to move, I need $5,500. And so I drank mineral water and I was headed to HEB to get some mineral water after prayer. I remember hitting my garage button and the garage going up, backing out of my garage, my phone just dinging, phone just going off. And I hit my garage button to let my garage back down. Had not put my car in park yet. And I looked down at my notifications. There's y'all buddy. I looked down at my notifications and there was a deposit of $5,500 into my account. And God said, what else? What I had not done was my taxes. I found this place and I'll talk about that a whole nother day. Let's get to where I am. I'll talk about the blessings in this move, but I had to give you that little bit. And so listening to God telling me where he wanted me to be. And everything happened exactly the way God said it was going to happen. So I'm happy to say that Preacher and I would like to say we're in the 313. We're so glad to be in Michigan. We're so glad to be in Detroit, Michigan. We're so glad to be here, living here, residing here, worshiping here. I am a part of the Remnant Worshipers, which is located in Detroit under the leadership of Pastor Eddie Connor Jr. Preacher and I have never, ever been as blessed in our life to be in Michigan. We love it here. We thank God for us being here. So welcome me to the 313. And of course, I got so much footage I got to share with you guys, but I had to let you guys know where we are. And now it's time to take you back back. So make sure you stay tuned in to all of these videos, to hear all of these testimonies, to hear all of the wonderful things that God has done. But yeah, I'm from the 409, now I'm in the 313. And I would love to say, I love it here. God bless y'all.